welcome back to my channel. Unfortunately, as you can see from the title of this video, my mom has passed. This was not clickbait. And the reason I wanted to come in and make this video, and the reason why Lauren's here, is just a couple of things. First of all, I share my life with you guys. I share everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. I've been sharing her struggle with you guys. So I wanted to fill you in on what happened. And then also, Lauren came in and helped me out as far as SPWF and prison life related stuff. So it's a lesson for you guys for when this happens, how to notify the facility and what you can do and what steps you can take and what we kind of did wrong. So I will, when I edit this, tell you at what part that starts if you want to fast forward to the minute where we start talking about that and you don't want to go through the background story of what happened. But in a nutshell, because I feel like I owe it to you guys to explain it to you. She, as you guys all know, or if this is your first video, maybe don't, my mom had cancer that started in her breast about 10 years ago. She did chemo and radiation, and then she went into remission for a while. And then about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, it came back in her bones, and it slowly started spreading. And just as it progressed, it got worse. And then the chemo, the chemo came in about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that's what really did her in. So on Sunday, and her breathing was really bad because radiation scarred her lungs very badly. So she was on oxygen, and on Sunday, she was saying, what's funny, all like Friday and Saturday, she kept saying, I'm done, you guys, I'm done with chemo, and none of us would let her go. None of us were listening to her. We kept saying, no, Mom, it's okay, just take a little break and start again in a couple weeks. And I think she was trying to tell us she was ready. So on Sunday, her sister came, who she was very close with, and after they left, her breathing got really bad and really shallow, and she had to go to the bathroom about 50 yards, not even 50 yards, 50 feet away from the recliner she was sitting. And it took her about 15 minutes to get back and forth from the bathroom. And so we said to her, Mom, do you need to go to the hospital? And for all this time, my mom fought us. There's been times I had 911 on the phone, and she made me hang up because she knew if she went to the hospital, she was getting admitted, and she probably wasn't coming home. So honestly, you guys, I really thought she was having an anxiety attack. We knew it was bad. I thought she was going to probably pass over within this year, but I thought it would be the fall. And so we called the paramedics, and they came, and she was okay. She was coherent, and she went to the hospital. I didn't go. I kind of was at the point where I needed a break. So, and everybody knew that. So my sisters, 2 of my sisters and my father went. They were being really good about informing us about what was going on. And so she wound up catching a virus, which in a normal, healthy person would kind of present like the common cold. Unfortunately, because her immune system was so bad at this point and her lungs were so damaged and scarred, and this virus, it's like an upper respiratory infection. It attacks your lungs. And for weeks before this, she was having a lot of mucus, a lot of phlegm that she was actually suffocating on at points. I thought I was going to lose her that way. And so, but she was okay. They were giving her medication. Everyone came home and slept. I went to work the next day, which was yesterday, and my brother went to go visit her, and he texted and he said, Mom's okay. She's sleeping. Her breathing is really belabored, and they're starting her on morphine. I saw morphine, and I freaked, and I was like, how bad is this? And so he said, I don't know. And so now I was starting to get a little bit nervous, but my brother was very close with my mom, boys and their mommies, right? So I didn't know if my brother was kind of being dramatic or overreacting or what, but then my sister came in because we had a group text between my siblings, and she said a lot of times it's very common for them to give morphine for cancer patients because of the pain. So I had planned to leave work about a half hour later. We're strong, you guys. I had to shove those feelings down. I went over to my coworker who I'm very close with, to her desk, and I said, do you have a second? And she could see I was shaking and I was starting to cry. And she said, come on. And she pulls me outside. She said, what's going on? And I said, I don't know, I'm just nervous. They started my mom on morphine. And she goes, let's take a walk. And we walked outside, and it is unheard of to be 75 degrees in the beginning of April in New Jersey. And yesterday was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. And today it's back to 50 and overcast, but yesterday was gorgeous, and that's what my mom loved. And so we went for a walk, and she said, just stay positive. Just go home when you have to go home. So my plan was to work through lunch. My sister, who lives about an hour away, was going to meet me at the house at 1 o'clock. I just wanted to come home and take a shower really quick and go to the hospital because I slept in the clothes I was wearing. Like, it was a very late night waiting for all the information back. So I just wanted to come home. I felt gross, take a shower. And then about 12:30 or 1 o'clock, right before I was getting ready to leave, my dad called my cell phone, and I figured he was at the hospital and he needed me to bring him something. So I walked out into the hallway and I answered the phone, and he said, Mom didn't make it. And I was like, what? And he goes, Mom is gone. And so I said, and it's weird because you guys know this, we go into like survival mode, right? And I think I was in shock at that point because she was fine. A half hour ago, she had a cold. And so I ran to my desk and I was shaking and I grabbed my bag and I shut down my computer and I turned to that other girl because she sits next to me at work and I said, she didn't make it. And she goes, what? And she started panicking like, oh my God, how, what? Let me help you. Let me drive you home. And I said, no, I'm okay. And I just kind of like ran out and she followed me to make sure I was okay. She was going to follow me home. She was going to take me home. And I said, no, I'm okay. I just have to go. And I got in my car and I texted my sister because she was about to get on a flight to Florida. And I was like, don't go. And I got in my car. And that's when I lost it. Like I was literally, you guys, I've never heard sounds like this coming out of a human being. I was like howling like a dog. I was so upset and I picked up the phone and I called Lauren because I knew that that Adam was on lockdown. And I didn't want to tell him this in an email. How do you tell somebody that in an email? So I'm going to let Lauren pick up the story about what happened, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you how it transpired and how I was able to tell Adam because our plan didn't work, but I'll let Lauren pick up and finish the story from her end. So this was probably around, 1:30 that I called you?
Yeah, 1:15, 1:30-ish, somewhere right around there. And the first thing I did was I called McKean. I hung up with Roe and I called McKean. And I believe if you've ever had to deal with this before, then you know that there's like a questions list that they kind of go through. And I typed it out so that I could remember what they were because I didn't at the present moment in time. They ask you like the name of the inmate, the register number, and then they kind of ask you a little bit more information. They want to know who is deceased, where they were, time and date, like that type of stuff. And I was just trying to get the message through that I actually didn't know a lot of those answers and the contact information of who to call and that type of thing. So I immediately called. It actually took me 3 times to get through to the prison before I was able to get through to the prison. And then once I did, I notified them, and then I immediately called you back to let you know that they had been notified and that they would get a hold of it. And I told you that if they hadn't called me in 2 hours to give me a call and let me know. So they hadn't. They did not call. So I called back for you in 2 hours later, and they had said that the chaplain had already received my first message and that they were reviewing the information. So at that point, I let you know again that I had notified the prison a second time a couple hours later, and at that point, we just kind of were waiting. I do know that the chaplain has to verify a bunch of information once they give it to you. So the second time I called back, I was able to give him some of the information that I didn't know the first time around, which definitely helped out. But I think that's kind of where we may have gone wrong the first phone call. So do you want me to keep going at that part?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was just agreeing with you. You can keep going.
Okay. And then so what I ended up doing was calling back because you still hadn't heard anything by like 7-ish, right? I believe at that time you still hadn't heard anything. So I called back for a third time, spoke to the same officer again, and he apologized. He tried calling to the chaplain again. The chaplain had already left for the day, but he sent the chaplain an email right away and wrote down all of the information. So here is the list of information that I was asked. The name of the inmate, the register number of the inmate, the name of the deceased, the relationship to the deceased, the date and time of death, the hospital if there is one, because sometimes people die in their sleep at home, the contact name and contact number. Here's where I went wrong. I had given them my information instead of giving them Roe's information. So if they were trying to look up what they end up doing is this information gets passed to the chaplain, and then the chaplain goes through the visiting list of that inmate, and obviously I'm not going to show up on Adam's visiting list, but Roe would have. So we think that that is why the delay happened and why Adam was not notified right away. So make sure when you're giving them, if you're calling on behalf of someone, make sure you're giving them their information, not your information. You live and learn. The last time I had made a phone call like this, it was in regards to my mother passing, so it was my information, and I did receive a phone call right away. So, not right away, but again, they have to verify. So not only do they have steps on, they go through, the chaplain will call. That's why you need to know the hospital information, their name, their date of birth, or the time and date of all of that, because the chaplain does need to verify all of that before they just go and notify them of that. And one of the things that you were concerned about that you had asked me was whether or not they were going to tell him for sure, because technically you guys aren't legally married. Yes, and I said yes because they told Spencer, because I did say mother-in-law when mine had passed away. But for you, you see him often enough, and they know that you guys are together in that way, that yes, they did. But this is also a way to, for those MWIs out there that may not be listed, you're listed as a friend. So, to maybe see if there's any way that they can put a note in the file of that, that this is the person that would be calling in case of an emergency on the outside. This would be the person that would be calling. So that is also a lesson to in that, is making sure that your name is listed as that, because you are listed as a friend if you are MWI or RWI or whatever the case may be, unless you were married beforehand. So that was a lesson we learned going through this. But and then you got to hear from him this morning, so I'll let you take it over from there.
Yeah, so another concern I had, and Lauren was so great, and I called her because of this, and also because, sometimes you need somebody who's gone through it, and we went through her mom together, so I knew that she would be able to be there for me in a way that she really understood, and she could give it back to me, right? Because when I called her, I started to have a panic attack on the phone because I didn't understand what was happening, and I was like, Lauren, I didn't get to say goodbye, and all she kept saying to me was, "You're okay, just breathe, you're stronger than you know," and so that was super helpful. But she kept checking in with me throughout the night. Has he called? What do you need me to do? And she said, why don't you try to email him, just in case they, for some reason, don't verify it, if they don't give them the message, if the chaplain isn't there. She explained to me that there was only one, and usually there's two, right, going back and forth between the camp and the FCI.
There's two, and then yes, yeah. So in this particular instance, there is a camp attached to the FCI. So they have two chaplains, but they go between both facilities. So even though the chaplain may not have been at the FCI, he could have been over at the camp when it had been originally notified, and then having to come back over to the FCI. So keep that in mind when you're calling as well. The chaplain's not always necessarily at that facility, especially if in an FCI there is a camp attached to it, which is what happened to me when I called in Beaumont. The USP is attached to the camp, and the chaplain was over at the USP. So I had to wait for the chaplain to come over to the camp, verify all the information and that stuff. So just know that the call's not going to happen right away. There is stuff on their end. So, but yes, I did suggest to email him right away, just in case.
Yep, and that's what I did, and I really didn't want him to find out through email, so I just made the title of the email, "Please call me." And usually if I send him something like that, and then I'll put in like, "But everybody is okay, nothing's wrong." So this time I had to explain to him. I said, Lauren has been wonderful. She's been calling the facility. She's trying to let the chaplain know, but I wanted you to find out, in case they didn't tell you, from me first. My mom did pass, and I love you, and please call me. So he actually did not get that message. Like, my mom orchestrated this, I'm telling you, her passing.
Oh, I believe it.
Everything, yes. Because, first of all, the fact that she didn't die at home was so helpful for, like, she literally orchestrated this, because if she was choking on her mucus and I didn't know how to help her, and she was here, like, she was comfortable, she didn't want us there. So that, and then also this. So he gets up this morning, and usually when they come off of lockdown after a couple of days, now mind you, they took them off yesterday and let them out for an hour, so he got his shower and everything. That's usually the first place he goes. The second place he goes is to the emails, because he knows I'm at work and everything. Well, it's Tuesday morning, and he said, it's like 8 o'clock or 8:30 or whatever time it was, and I usually go to work at 8, but I don't think he was thinking. He said, let me just try the phone. There's no line. Never happens. Never happens. So He had not checked the email yet, and the chaplain didn't notify him. And I was at one point kind of grateful, and I told Lauren this morning because she was profusely apologizing. Oh my God, I put my information, not yours. The whole thing was orchestrated perfectly. Because what happens if for some reason they gave him that one phone call and he couldn't get me? And then he has to go right back into lockdown and he can't get me the rest of the night. So now he's worried because I haven't spoken to him. He hasn't checked on me. Or what happens if, I don't know if this is the case, but you never know who's on, right? What happens if they tell him, but they don't give him that phone call? So now he's sitting locked in there with this information. So anyway, so he called and he said, and I answered and I was very quiet and I was like in processing, and I was still really, really, really emotional, which comes and goes, obviously. But I was like, hello. And he's like, where are you? Are you at work? And I said, no, I'm home. And he said, did you get my email? And I was like, no, because he sent me a one-line email yesterday. We were only out for an hour, but I only have 2 minutes left. I got to go. I love you. I'll call you when I can. So I thought he sent another email last night, the way he was referring to it. And I said, no, did you get mine? And he said, no. And then we were kind of going back and forth. Like we didn't know. I said, do you know what happened? Did Lauren call, blah, blah? He said, no. And I said, my mom died yesterday. And he was like, oh my God. And then, I had my cry and I told him about it and he was there consoling me. And he's going to call me back later. I mean, grateful for the lockdown because he does have extra minutes now. But so he was there. I could tell he was really, really upset because he wasn't able to be here for me the way that we want them to be. But that's okay. I mean, I'm okay. And I don't want to make this video too long or emotional, but I do want to say this, like the whole reason we are here, you guys, is because of my mom, because I got my strength from her. She taught me how to fight. She's a fighter, and she fought and she fought and she fought until she just couldn't fight anymore. And she needed to go. She needed to rest, but that's the lesson
And
for
she
all
did
of
it,
us.
and she did it on her terms too. She definitely did it on her terms. She was a strong lady. I will give your mom that. I've been with you for oof, 4 or 5 years now, it seems like, and I'm at total and complete awe of how strong she was through all of this. And she was just, when she was ready, and she planned the
Yeah,
whole thing, and she did it the way she wanted to, and now she's watching you from up above.
that's
So,
right.
and her and my mom are up there having fun together.
They are. They
The
are.
the, the Italian Catholics are in are
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Going, oh, no, 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 not those two. What are they
in.
doing? But
So,
also, like, and I don't even want to say it as far as just her disease and her death. She was an ox. She was stubborn as an ox, and she was strong, and she was a fighter, like we said. So just take that. I want that to be your takeaway today. I want you guys to just fight and fight, but then rest. I want you to rest. On Sunday when she went to the hospital,
stubborn like an ox was what I remember.
that's right. So Sunday when she went to the hospital, I was kind of grateful because I knew that she was I didn't know she was dying at that point. They told us that she was protocol 3 days. She was going to get medication for this cold-like virus that she contracted. So I was so grateful because I could get a good night's sleep. I could sleep through the night. I hadn't slept through the night. It was like I had an infant for months. So the reason I'm telling you guys that is fight, fight, fight. But when it's time, rest. Lauren, is there anything else you want to add before we end this?
I don't think so. No, we pretty much covered it. Just making sure that you have that list of, what to do, and you have that one person that that can call and can help you through it. Because again, I'm grateful that I'm able to help you through this, because it is not easy. It really is not easy. It's been 4 years since my mom passed, and I still get teary-eyed, and I miss her. I miss her greatly, and that pain never goes away. But I'm learning to live knowing she's my guardian angel and she's watching out for me. So your mom
Yeah.
is now at peace, and she is going to be the guardian angel to all of you and her grandbabies. So, but, and I love you dearly.
Oh, and I love you too. And I told you yesterday over and over again, but I can't thank you enough for everything, for all of your help. And I mean, everything throughout while she was sick and everything. And you were the one person who would stick it to me and make me talk about the tough stuff because I'm an avoider. As strong as I
Mm-hmm.
am, I'm an avoider. So I appreciate you. I love all of you guys. Stay strong for yourself. Stay strong in honor of my mama, in honor of Lauren's mamas. How many do we have? And that's it. We will see you guys next time. Bye. All right, let me just stop.